Lobbycast? I like that.
We're recording in a van down by the river.
I will probably edit that out.
Yeah, well, with the constant F-bomb.
Quote Brad Pitt, what is in the box?
Am I the only one that's impressed that Brendan Fraser still gets work?
All right, hello and welcome everybody to the Lobbycast, the official podcast of the Lobbycast.
Yeah, indeed.
Indeed. We are here on, what is this, August 8th?
Sure. I've lost track of the days.
Yeah, you've had a lot going on.
I'll take your word for it. Pretend like it's the 8th. I'll take the 8th.
Take the 8th.
It's a good number.
Okay, it's a good number. I'm Geoff, and
I'm Erin.
And we're going to talk about some stuff and some things.
Maybe even some junk.
Maybe some junk.
Could happen.
Could absolutely happen. Erin, do you have any news for us this week?
The bits that I had were, I think we are all aware, Jon Stewart is finally saying goodbye to us off The Daily Show.
Yeah, I missed it. I didn't get to watch.
It was good stuff.
Okay.
So was the second to last show, which was Louis C.K.
Okay. Well,
So
I will definitely have to go back and do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they saw him off proper. Like,
good.
We're sad to see him go. I'm interested to see what the new host does with it.
Yeah, so, for sure.
Absolutely. So it's been a good 16 years, John. Either way, we'll miss you.
Absolutely.
And then.
Do you have anything to say, Kat?
Yeah, let's interview the cat. Oh, Smudge, you're on the air. You're live.
Smudge.
Damn it.
Cat doesn't care. Imagine that.
No, yeah, I know. Everyone out there, put on your shocked face. If you haven't seen the Deadpool trailer, Geoff, have you watched it?
I have.
What'd you think?
It looked like fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with the Deadpool backstory, so my initial response was, hey, Ryan Reynolds is doing that thing that he does again.
Right.
But
wasn't he Deadpool last time?
I don't know.
In the X-Men Origins Wolverine movie?
I've not seen that one, so maybe he was. I'm not up to date on the X-Men movies.
That was a terrible version of Deadpool, by the way.
So, but what has been explained to me since then is that Deadpool is the merc with a mouth.
Right.
So Ryan Reynolds may well be a very good fit for this role.
Sure.
And so it looked entertaining.
Yep.
I don't know if I'll see it in the theater, but could be fun.
Yeah, I think it's his second time playing Deadpool.
Okay.
And he also was one of the vampire slayers in Blade 3.
Yes.
So, and he was Green Lantern. So he's been in Marvel and DC comic book movies. Yes,
and I would kind of amuse me that the preview of Deadpool had reference to perhaps how many of us felt about Green Lantern, which was less than excited.
Right. It was not great.
No, it was not. So we'll see how it turns out.
All right. Excellent. What else?
Those were my big bits of news.
Okay.
So it's going to be about you reporting on the news this week.
Holy moly. All right, here's the thing. I'm a fan of good television.
Yes.
I'm not such a fan of bad television.
And you tend to have very strong opinions about both.
That's true.
Fine. I'm not. That's which is
strongish. Sure. Not fanatical.
He qualified that, people. He actually just qualified that.
Not fanatical, but strongish.
Strong. I'll agree with
it's
that.
A relative
fanatical.
Term.
I'm gonna quibble with strongish.
Okay. Fair enough. So, as we know, there aren't a ton of new ideas out there for television. We've seen some good adaptations and some bad adaptations.
Some not so good, yeah.
Right. There are some cool new ideas out there. We're both fans of Penny Dreadful.
Yes.
Which was kind of a new thing. I like that.
Or a new spin on a lot of very classic stories.
Right. Definitely draws from literary references,
yes.
But not necessarily a direct translation of a movie or another television show.
No.
And the Hannibal, I would say, is a pretty good adaptation,
Mhm.
or it exists within the world of
That Thomas Harris set up in his
right,
novels. Yes.
Right, absolutely. So, Erin, here is a very long list of movies that are being adapted into television series.
Okay.
Whether they end up being a one-off, a single miniseries type event, or an actual TV series, we'll see. We'll see if they even get greenlit. But they're currently in.
They're in the works.
In the works. They're in
Okay.
development. We'll say. All right, you ready? It's a long list.
All right.
Okay. Training Day.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
School of Rock.
All right.
Okay. Sin City.
All right.
The Mist, which I wasn't aware of. I don't know what that movie is.
As in the movie adapted from the Stephen King novella?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
We're going to run with the whole series on that.
Yeah.
Okay. Not sure how I feel about that.
The Devil's Advocate.
Okay.
Shooter. Minority Report. Shutter Island. Don't worry, that's not the worst one.
Okay.
Frequency. Yeah. Ghost. Truman Show.
That would probably actually really lend itself to a TV series, so I can see that.
That's one of the few so far. To Live and Die in L.A., which is a very old movie.
Yes.
Not as old as some others, though.
No.
Real Genius.
Wonder if they're going to keep the pickle throwing dream sequences in.
Who knows? They've got to at least pay homage to it, right?
Right?
Right.
I think so.
Fatal Attraction.
Okay. I can also see that lending itself to stretching it out, but...
Yeah, maybe. Monster-in-Law. Weird. Yeah. Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs.
Okay.
Big. Which again is kind of a weird thing.
Yes.
Resident Evil. Uncle Buck. I'm sorry, I didn't let Resident Evil set in before I hit you with
before you hit me with Uncle Buck. Yeah, for those of you that are listening and not watching, there was kind of a facepalm moment there. So
a little bit of one.
A little bit, just a touch.
The Illusionist.
Okay.
All right. In the Heat of the Night. So,
which has already been adapted to a TV show from a movie. So now we're readapting the TV show from the TV show, or maybe the movie, or both. Who knows?
The Mortal Instruments. Also not aware of this movie.
Is, I think that's already a series of stories that was adapted into a movie, and apparently is now making the jump to television. So that okay, good.
All right,
we're fine.
Bachelor Party.
Okay.
Weird.
How many of Tom Hanks's things are being made into TV shows?
Just two.
Okay.
Just two.
Just checking.
Yeah. Rush Hour.
Because of course it is.
Marley and Me.
So they didn't depress us enough the first time. They needed to make it into a TV show. All right.
Problem Child.
No.
I know.
Come on.
In Good Company.
Don't really know much about it.
Right. See, and that's the second Dennis Quaid.
Yeah,
movie.
that's true. That's true.
And wasn't he a voice in Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs?
Sure.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
American Gigolo.
Okay.
Limitless.
Interesting.
Okay. Westworld.
Really?
Yeah, which has potential.
That has potential. And as a fan of the Yul Brynner movie, although not of the sequel,
right,
that has potential.
Right. Future World was a sequel, right?
Yes, and that was one of those Hollywood cobbling something together after their star died moments that tend to wind up being extremely regrettable.
Right. The Omen.
That could lend itself to a series.
Done right. Sure.
Yes, done well.
And Hitch.
Okay. I was profoundly neutral about the movie, so I can't
Oh, I
really.
thought it was bad.
I can't really find myself excited one way or the other about that happening.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm with you. So that's
That's a lot of
It's a lot.
movies, both good and otherwise, that are being adapted into a whole series. And certain
Yeah.
things they've got to be taking extreme license with some of these, because I mean, like Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs was a kid's book that was, this big. I mean, and they already made it into 2 movies.
Right.
And now they're going to stretch that out into a TV series. So as a writer, you're pretty much, you don't have a lot of source material to go on there.
No, you really don't. You really don't.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, so what do you think?
Some of those, I think, like I said, they really do lend themselves to being stretched out into a series. There's enough source material there, or the idea itself has enough flexibility behind it, I guess you could say, that, like The Omen, okay, the Antichrist being born onto Earth, you've got this kid's entire life to stretch out into a series with all different kinds of ways he can wreak havoc or, be pulled back and forth between different moral choices. And sure, done well, like you said, I can see that being a thing, but
it has a lot more room to expand over, say, Bachelor Party.
That's one of the ones that's sticking in my head, where clearly some bunch of idea makers in Hollywood got together with a bunch of other idea makers and potentially a platter of cocaine and decided that was a good idea. But
platter, nice,
definitely a platter. I'm just a little foozled as to how that you stretch that into a series. Or is the Bachelor Party the jumping off point for a buddy comedy? That's the only way I can think they're taking that.
Yeah, that's so weird.
Yeah,
last week, what did we have? Married with Children and X-Files. So those, one of those is good. One of those probably not going to be good.
You're right.
Yep. Well, on top of that, Black Sails has been renewed.
Okay.
Which I think is pretty great. I don't know if you've had a chance to check it out.
I've never checked that out. I've heard good things about it.
Yeah.
So good for them.
Yeah. Community has been canceled again.
Again? Okay.
Yeah. And let's see. Coach and Prison Break are both coming back.
Okay. Prison Break is not entirely surprising to me, because that had a pretty hardcore following.
It was good the first year, but it quickly ran out of ideas.
I wonder how they brought it back then. Was it just because a small vocal group made enough noise, or did they?
I think that one is going to be a limited thing, like the 24 miniseries.
That makes more sense to me.
Yeah, and I think that's what's going to happen with that. As far as Coach, who knows?
That's an interesting choice.
I didn't really watch the first one, so.
Well, good luck to them.
Good luck to them. Anything else for television? Doesn't look like. So, and I'll get a little bit more into this, but I watched the Microsoft press briefing for Gamescom 2015.
How'd that look?
And that's the Gamescom is the big gaming event of the year. It's a roughly 3 to 4 times E3.
It's a huge and
event.
It's been growing. So
yeah, it's generally speaking between 400,000 and 500,000 attendees over the weekend,
which is ridiculous.
It's
awesome, but crazy, ridiculous, huge.
And I think we'd even talked before about how Microsoft has stopped talking about the power of cloud processing that they'd really, really hyped up whenever they first started the Xbox One. And apparently they're going to start talking about it again because with Crackdown 3, which is going to be a pretty highly anticipated title, they are promising 100% destructible environments.
Wow.
And they're using the cloud processing to manage this because it's a big open world game like Grand Theft Auto, and that will be a way to deal with a boss, is just completely destroy the base of the building and have it come down.
That is one way to get things
boss
done.
Equal gone.
Yes, indeed.
So I thought that was really interesting, and they're saying, talking about the cloud computing, they're saying that it increases the processing power of the Xbox One by 13 times, which is significant.
It's very significant. Another reason I'm not entirely surprised they're bringing back talk of the cloud and what it can do and its processing power and its storage room is if we've discussed on past podcasts how many games are becoming available for backwards compatibility on the Xbox One. I think that people are going to need to start relying on the cloud a little more if they're going to be getting a lot of those, I would think.
Yeah, and so cloud processing, backwards compatibility, we're really starting to see Microsoft finally start to talk about important things, because they've been a mess marketing-wise for a while.
Well, everybody goes off the rails occasionally, and
yeah, and so it'll be good for them to. They're not ever going to close the gap between the Xbox One and the PS4. The PS4 is just way too far ahead.
Yeah.
But it's good to start seeing the benefits of competition.
Absolutely.
At least. So, good stuff. And let's see here. What else? Speaking of not catching up with the PS4, the esports, the main esports competition with Call of Duty series, they're switching from the Xbox One to the PS4 now.
Interesting.
So that's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, no kidding.
So it's one of the biggest games within the biggest esports competition. So I think it's.
Did they say what prompted the jump to?
No.
Away from Xbox One?
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah, for Xbox, it's always been the controller. People have preferred that controller, and so there must be something that's maybe it's just how well the PS4 is selling.
I was about to say that it could just be a numbers issue.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
Yep, and it does make a difference. If most of your competitors are playing on PS4, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense for you to compete on the Xbox One.
No, exactly.
All right, I think that's about it for news. Unless you have anything else.
No, those were my big two issues that I brought up. Not issues, but tidbits that I brought up at the start.
So let's see. Moving on to the Weekly Whatchas. What you listening to, Erin?
I've been listening to, I think there's going to be a little bit of overlap between listening and watching this week. I've not had a lot of time for a lot of targeted listening, a lot of shuffle, a lot of whatever's on the radio in the car. I have been listening to a lot of Jim Jeffries, the stand-up comedian, when I had a chance. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
Mm-hmm.
You are? Okay. Yeah, he's been making me chuckle heartily this week. And also been listening to, crack.com and the Nerdist, kind of, when I'm puttering about. So those have been my big time fillers and ear fillers when I've been so inclined.
Excellent.
How about you?
Also Shuffle All. No specific artist that I've been listening to this week. As far as podcasts go, I listened to an episode of Freakonomics, and they're kind of trying to delve into the science of why we watch news or keep up with the news. And they think it is largely for entertainment and not for information.
A certain amount of that makes sense since in our entire modern era, if it bleeds, it leads has been the motto of news, and if it was strictly to keep informed, that wouldn't be the motto. That wouldn't work.
Right. Yeah, and we wouldn't see our news agencies trend more and more into entertainment.
Right.
So, Then also listen to an episode of Common Sense with Dan Carlin. It's a great political show. Fat Man on Batman. It's part 3 of 4 with Josh Trank
Okay.
of Fantastic Four.
Mm-hmm.
And then, and there's something with that, and that's kind of been in the news, although I was a little hesitant to talk about it at first. He hasn't said anything about it in the interview, but he is kind of fighting with Fox.
I've heard that rumor, but
Yeah.
don't know a whole lot about it.
He is saying that his movie could have been good, but the studio kind of took over the last third of the movie, and the movie suffered because of it.
Interesting.
So, but I mean, big studio films. I mean, that's always the
Always
the risk.
Always the risk, and they're more concerned about the bottom line, I think, in a lot of cases.
Yeah, for sure. And what else? Oh, and an episode of Gamertag Radio.
Oh, excellent.
Yep. And I think that's it. Let's
Okay.
get into the weekly or the what you watching.
What you
What you
watching?
watching, Miss Erin?
I kept caught up on Face Off, the Sci-Fi Channel's Critics Award winner show. They've been pointing that out a lot this season, so they're very proud of winning that, and good for them.
And good for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just movie makeup
Yes.
competition
Yes.
type deal.
Yes, and they definitely started out on the first couple of seasons really emphasizing both fantasy and reality makeup. They've completely gotten away from reality, things like old age or things of that nature. It's pretty much 100% fantasy movie makeup at this point, which is frankly a little bit more entertaining.
Sure.
But I can see why they strayed away from that original formula. And the other thing that I've been watching, actually, Will discovered. My husband did not know I watched this stuff, apparently, but just found out in the last week. The World of Dance. It's an amazing dance competition that tends towards hip hop, certain different, freestyle, choreographed things of that nature. And I was introducing Will to that this week.
Yeah. Excellent.
Mr. Geoff.
Let's see here. I watched the Gamescom Microsoft briefing, as I mentioned. Also been catching up on Halt and Catch Fire, which is a great show about the early days of computers.
Yes.
And networking and those kind of things and games. And also watching Mr. Robot, which is something I've really been enjoying, although it's a lot like Fight Club. Seems a lot like that.
Okay.
Like a hacker crew trying to bring down this big evil corporation that has to do with international finance and stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah.
Evil corp.
Evil corporations, shake your fist.
Yeah. It's good, and it's been doing really, really well.
Good for them.
Humans, I'm still watching. Hell on Wheels, about the expansion of the railroad from the East Coast to the West Coast.
The season premiere is coming up quite soon.
Oh, no, it has already premiered.
So it's just a new episode that I'm seeing coming up. All right.
Yeah, it's just a new episode. I think they're three episodes in.
Got it.
To this current season. And then I watched the new episode of Key and Peele.
Nice.
I watched an episode of Hannibal of the current season, and that was nice. Kristen's caught up with me on that show, so I actually watched an episode with her. And I also watched the Fantastic Four movie.
What'd you think?
It was okay. Wasn't great, but wasn't bad, so I'm curious to hear some more information, especially in this fight going back between Josh Trank and the studio.
The studio, absolutely.
Because he said that the end of the movie is the one he originally shot was completely different, or the one he had written was completely different, and we'll never get to see it. And it was better. So he's kind of trashing his own movie.
Well, it doesn't really sound like it is his own movie anymore. So
No.
perhaps that's why.
Yeah, but I mean, I thought it was pretty decent overall.
Okay.
Not my favorite superhero movie, but Fantastic Four's never been my favorite set of superheroes.
Kind of superhero, so
Yeah.
so it's okay.
So it's okay. And that's it for what I've been watching. Erin, shock and amaze us all with your What You Playing.
I'd love to, but I can't. I played a little bit of ESO. Oh, this is where you put on your fake surprised face.
Yeah.
And a little bit of Quiz Up.
Oh, very cool.
Although the one thing I can say that's a little different this week about Quiz Up is if anybody out there has played it, I'm sure you have. There's been a lot this week going on with players. There's a certain kind of player. And I didn't even really run into this on Trivia Crack, but I run into it a fair amount on Quiz Up.
Okay.
Where they've had a good streak going or something, or they're because it gives you the ratings: top 10 in Colorado, top 3 in Colorado, best in.
Oh, sure.
Apparently, I don't know if they're trying to protect that or just psychologically want to feel like they win all the time. You can ask for a rematch after whether you've won or lost. And I keep running into these people just in the last week, more consistently than normal, that want a rematch when you beat them, and they keep coming at you and coming at you.
That's annoying.
It really is. I want a rematch. And then the first time you lose, whether by accident or design, that's when they back out. That's when they leave. Or if they realize that they are losing.
Did you harass them with, I want a rematch?
Well, once they back out, you can't hit the button saying, I want a rematch anymore. So they're basically saying win, and then they leave real fast before you can ask for a rematch.
Oh, that's crap.
Oh, it's a pile of crap, and for some reason, you always run into those folks a little bit. But I've run into all of them apparently, or at least a lot of them in the last week.
That's awful.
That were apparently mad that I beat them 4, 5, 6 times in a row.
And they can suck it.
Yes, they can. Mr. Geoff, shock and amaze us all with what you've been playing.
I also played a little bit of ESO.
No,
it's true.
Don't believe it.
Elder Scrolls Online. Mm-hmm. That's about all the gaming I've done. Although I'm going to play some games or a game tonight. I've put some posts on this about on my personal Facebook. Lou is in the middle of this year's 100 Days of Gaming.
Yes, he is.
And he had a request of playing Halo Combat Evolved on Heroic, the library, I believe it is.
I think so.
Is that the level? But anyway, I'm going to help Lou out with that, do some co-op action. And one of our friends, Justin, has pledged some money for us doing so.
Yay, Justin!
He did an initial donation, and then he said he'd donate $100 if we played that, and then another $50 if we played it co-op. So that's going to be the deal. We're going to raise some money. So and we'll put the links both on the Lobbycast page and on my personal page.
Nice.
For that, so you can go in and help Lou support the Children's Miracle Network hospitals.
It's a good cause, folks.
Through Extra Life.
Absolutely.
All right. I think that's about it for this week.
In a nutshell.
In a nutshell. Yeah. Okay, we will see you next week. I'm not sure what the schedule is going to be like again, but
we'll be here at some point.
We'll be here at some point during the week.
So,
all right.
Folks.
Thanks for watching and listening. Bye.
Bye.